Let's practice cylinders and cones. Cylinder. You can start it. We're going to do it two ways. We'll do it with the verticals first and with the ellipses first. Let's try with the verticals first. So vertical line, vertical line. This might be a long cylinder. It could be shorter too. Just to show what can be done, I will make it shorter than the lines, because you don't have to go on the top of your lines. You can go anywhere between the lines, just as long as your ellipse touches both sides. And you want your two ellipses to be the same. So it's easier to make them the same if you give yourself chances to make them the same by doing several cylinders, and then you just take your kneaded eraser and clean this up. I don't need the top part of the bottom ellipse. I do need the bottom part. I want the bottom part to match the top part as far as the bottom part of the top part. This curve here is what I'm talking about. We want them to match. That's one way. And then when we do the shading, it will be usually what you see on a cylinder is you'll have some dark and then some highlight and then some more dark. And then maybe a little bit more highlight. That's usually what we see on a cylinder. There's different ways to do the shading. Just like there's different ways to do the beginning lines. And then we could, if it seems like there's more dark over here on this side, that means the light's probably over here. That means the cast shadow is going to be over here somewhere. Okay, then let's do one with the ellipses first. All right, you see what happened there? Like my line didn't quite make it to the end of the ellipse, but I can fix that. You can try it both ways and see which way you like better, whether to do the lines first or the ellipses first. I know that I'm going to get rid of this part. And this one was kind of cleaner to begin with, other than that one, that little part that I didn't quite hit the mark, but we can add the same kind of shading. We can have it have some value and then get lighter and then bring back the value. And then it can get a little bit lighter again right near the edge. You don't have to use a Q-tip or I just grabbed it. I had a blending stump and a Q-tip right next to each other. So whatever. They both work. Blending stump is gonna last longer and it's less wasteful because the blending stump will, you don't need to throw it away. You can just keep using it. Q-tips, you'll have to throw it away. So it's a little bit more wasteful to use a Q-tip, but I happen to have one sitting there, so I just grabbed it. All right, and then don't have to have shading on the top. It depends on how strong the light is, right? Okay, I'll put the cast shadow on this one too. Why not? And I'll just do it really scribbly and smudge it in. Here, I'll use my finger this time. I'm not going to throw my finger away. And then I'll add a little bit more darker closer to the cylinder. That's another way to do the cylinder. And then cone. Let me turn my paper over. The cone. Okay, cone. Start with an ellipse. You're not going to need this part, but we can go ahead and leave it for now. And then we're going to do a line going this way, like a triangle, and a line going the other way. You can ghost it ahead of time. That means kind of get a feeling for where the line's going to happen and then draw it after you feel that it's in a good place. I thought it was in a good place. There it goes. Okay. I have to do a little bit of erasing here. And I'll erase this part of the ellipse. I don't need that. And it's not a TP. I'm going to take these things coming out off. But it's good to make your lines longer than you need them, as a rule. Gives you, yeah, so you don't focus. It helps you from having to focus on trying to get your line at a certain length. You don't want to worry about length. Just go ahead and make them long and then erase. You want to focus on making nice smooth lines and not worry about the length of the line. You're trying to get the line in the right place. Okay, and then shading this guy. It's similar to the cylinder, but you can think of it as more of a triangular cylinder. So the shading, the shadow and the highlight might take more of an angled shape because of that. So I'm shading with the same kind of light source as the cylinder, where it's coming from over here somewhere. And it has a little bit of a highlight there. It's like overhead on the left. And then it's a little bit darker on this part away from the light. And then as it goes around, it's starting to get light again over on the other side. So. If your cylinders and cones don't look as good as mine, understand that I've done a lot of these. And the more you practice, the better you'll get. So that's why mine look good, because I do them all the time. I'm going to add, I didn't mean to do that. And I make mistakes, as you just saw. So, you know, everybody makes mistakes. That's why we try not to push too hard when we draw, so that we can erase our mistakes. So shadow, it's going to look kind of like a pyramid shadow, the cast shadow. It'll come out like that. Okay, I'm going to blend. I don't know why I'm using the Q-tip. I just grabbed it because it was sitting there. Just curious. I mean, I used it the other day for shading something. Blending stuff is just as good. Okay, and make the edges kind of softer. And then yeah, that cast shadow looks good. I do want it a little bit darker and up close to the cone. There we go. Voila. Okay, there it is. There's our cone. So we did cylinders and cones today. Here's the cone. There was more than one way to do the cylinder, whether you wanted to start with the vertical lines or start with the ellipses. I did it both ways so you could see. And practice on your own, practice a lot. See you later.